everybody, and welcome to On the Ice, brought to you by Pembina, source for sports, and our friends Caisse Financial Group. Today's guest is found a new home, and it's sort of like a, return back to home, as he played 3 years in the Manitoba Junior Hockey League with the Winkler Flyers, and he is the newly crowned assistant coach with the Flyers. Mr. Harry Mahesh comes and joins us on the ice. We're going to talk a little bit about playing days for him in 2009, 2010, before he quote-unquote got retired, according to Elite Prospects. But nonetheless, we'll share some stories and how he found his place and his footing back home in Winkler, where he played most of his years here in Manitoba. So we will welcome Harry Mahesh on the ice. Harry Mahesh sporting the shirt that usually is worn underneath gear. I see a lot of when I do a lot of interviews with players, it's usually one of those things. Harry, is that what we're going for today?
Yeah, this is the classic Oilers undershirt there. So
with the sweat, and they put the towel around the neck to try to cover as much of it as possible, right?
Oh, exactly, yeah.
Right on. Harry joining me from Calgary, Alberta, still just outside Calgary.
Yeah, right in Calgary, actually. Yeah.
Right in Calgary. How's everything going over there? And how have you been the last couple of months? We haven't chatted with you in quite a while.
Things have been good. Honestly, it's getting this the new position there. I've been a little bit busier. But other than that, things have been good. So things are slowly opening up. So nice to kind of go do things and, golf and, have a beer in a patio here and there. So it's starting to feel like the true off season now, but as I say that, I'm kind of getting right back into the hockey season mode with the new job. So,
are you missing the ice? This has been the longest time you probably haven't been on ice. As for myself,
yeah, it's been tough. Honestly, last summer I did take a little bit of a break too, just to kind of, take a little step back so that when you start the season, you're got that excitement. But this year, I mean, normally you'd be on the ice till the end of May, so it would have only been a couple weeks. But I got some friends in town here that they run some camps, and I'll be helping out with that shortly here in the next little while. So got a new pair of skates I want to break in. So yeah, it's starting to feel like a kid again, getting ready for hockey season.
New skates? Are we talking Bowers? Are we talking CCMs? What do we got?
Well, I've always been a Bauer guy, but with the MJ being sponsored with CCM and, me being one to have good style, I made the switch over to CCM. Won't be skating as hard when you're a coach, so you just kind of stand there and look good. So I went with the CCMs this time.
As long as they're comfortable, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to heat. You have to heat these bad boys up in an oven and form fit them. Technology with skate has changed so much.
Yeah. Well, I went through the whole process of. I don't think I bought a pair of skates in 12 years. So it was kind of weird going back into the store and having the person look at you like, oh, do you know what you're looking for? And kind of treat you like you've never played hockey before. So you just kind of smile and nod, point out what you want, tell them the size, and yeah, you're on your way.
Did you play a little bit with the sales associate? Did you tell them, oh, it's my first time on the ice?
To be honest, I hate the whole experience.
Okay.
I know exactly what I want usually when I go into any store and want to be left alone. Especially during quarantine, it was just like they were kind of hesitant to come up to you anyways. So
okay, yeah. I remember the days fitting skates and telling parents you need to have this much room and this is a better boot and this has to be fitted and there's the pump action on the 652s. Now I just dated myself and Lord knows there was a lot of interesting. I don't want to say gimmicks in skates, but a lot of it was technology and breaking technology because there were a lot of different things going on in the industry. So nonetheless, let's get back on track. As Harry mentioned, he's got a new position, familiar territory in Winkler, Manitoba, with the Manitoba Junior Hockey League, the Winkler Flyers, as an assistant coach, just wearing one hat right now, which is okay.
Yeah.
38 wins, 17 losses, 2-3, 81 points, finishing third this year. Did you follow the team a little bit last year, knowing what's going on? And give me a little update on that.
Yeah, I did. It was last year was the first year where there wasn't really any connection to my playing days. New staff and all that. So it was the first time I really felt kind of like an outsider and just being a fan. Normally I walk in through the back door and, kind of smile and wave and do my thing. But this year it felt different. Watching the team looked different. I mean, it was a really good team, and it was something that I thought like, eventually my playing or my coaching career, if I ever get, to the NHL, I always envision a stop in Winkler, and it kind of felt like no better time than now. It was a fresh start. At the same time, it's very familiar going back, so it's kind of the best of both worlds. But yeah, I'm definitely excited, and the team is definitely trending upwards under Jeff and Calvin. So yeah, I'm definitely excited.
You mentioned Jeff and Kelvin. How was that hiring process for them to bring you on board?
It was, they definitely wanted to do their due diligence, and I reached out, just kind of asking, just some basic questions on, kind of what they were looking for, and they both emailed me back, and they were interested in me having the interview and everything, and so I sat down, had an interview, and it went well. It's the sign of good interviews when you're just casually chatting more than anything else. They had the questions, but it felt more like a hangout than an interview. I was actually out in BC when I got the call. I was out in Canadian Tire shopping with my parents when Kelvin called me, so it was kind of nice. And he lives out on Pender Island there out in Vancouver. So he actually said, if you're in town for another day or two, come over and, come say hi. So I actually ended up taking the ferry out there, and, we talked hockey all night, crashed at his place, dropped me off the ferry next morning. So it was a great fit, great timing to kind of get to know him. And we zoomed in with Jeff while I was there. So, I've only known them really about a month and a half, and it feels like, we've known each other for a long time now. So that's good.
Of course, it's very important for coaches to be on the same page, have the same chemistry. You almost mentioned like you guys clicked right away. And as being a fresh start to this program and coming back, what is your intentions with the program, with the Flyers in terms of position, working with the forwards, working the defense? How is that going to fit with Jeff and Calvin this upcoming year?
Well, the way Kelvin broke it down was awesome. He's the one thing I knew right away. He's incredibly organized. He's a very much into the tech side of hockey, and I'm a old school like notepad and paper guy. And one of my weaknesses is I don't like to do a lot of stuff on the computer, and so he's definitely got me on to that, which is great. But yeah, for the season, my job will be mostly working with the defense, and not only that, he's even broken it down into zone play. So I'll be working on the breakouts. I'll be doing the PK, the pregame meetings. So the detail he's put into what he wants me to do is awesome. And, that's what kind of excites you, because you get the envision of what the next level is like. And as much as, I always felt like I was prepared and could kind of do it, seeing, the techniques and styles he uses is kind of like refreshing and going, okay, you know what? This is a process. I want to learn it this way. And then at the same time, I'm not just going to nod and smile. And he doesn't want me to do that too. He wants me to incorporate ideas and thoughts. And I think we're going to do a good job kind of challenging each other and introducing new things. And I can just tell, the things that I knew I was weak in are his strengths. So it's a good person to kind of to learn from.
Kind of the yin to the yang, the complementing of all three pieces, putting it all together on a pie chart. I'm sure you've used those. Once in a while, the drawings.
Yeah.
I have to ask you this question: how is it different walking into into Winkler, being a player versus being now a coach?
Well, to be honest, I don't really know the difference because it hasn't quite stepped in. As a player, like I know exactly what it was like walking in there, and it was. I think most people would describe me as it's pretty laid back from outside the rink, but at the rink, I could be a bit of a pain, be kind of intense, kind of zone in. As a coach, I think that mentality kind of follows you off the ice too, more than it does a player, because you're always thinking the game. When I would go back and teach camps, it was always fun, but to be honest, when you're not a player, you never quite felt a part of the club. And I wasn't officially a coach; I was just kind of there. and the other players would kind of look at you like, are you the trainer? Are you like, who are you? But now I think coming in with this role, it's when I played in Winkler, I guess I had the mentality of I was also always trying to coach. I always knew that coaching would be a calling, and I remember sometimes during pregame speeches, I'd be sitting there thinking, "What would I say?" Or, coach should be saying this, or these should be the lines. And now it's like, all right, now it's my job, so I got to put my money where my mouth is. I always thought I'd be good at it. Now here's my chance to kind of to do it, and like I'm not alone, so it's not like there's all the weight on the shoulders on me, but it's kind of nice to think back to 20-year-old Harry sitting there thinking he could do it all, to years down the road seeing, okay, what did you learn and how are you going to apply it?
Not too many years after 20, but a couple, we'll say, Harry, a couple more years of experience. We'll get to those in just a second. But before the break, I got to ask you, you talked about doing camps in Calgary. Because recently the Manitoba Junior Hockey League has mentioned they are going back to a Phase 1 return to play to hopefully open fully in September. So they're hoping that there will be a regular season being played in the MJ. Has Jeff and Calvin explained to you perhaps some of the summer camps that will be going on later this summer, and will you be able to attend those?
Yeah, I believe we're planning on starting our first camp, just our kids kind of conditioning camp around August 17th. I believe that's a Monday. There'll be about 2 weeks of that, and training camp is scheduled to open September 2nd, with the regular season starting on the 25th. So knock on wood, everything follows that timeline.
Absolutely. Knock on wood for sure. We'll be right back with Harry Mahesh. We're going to come back and we're going to tell some stories of this traveled veteran during his days in Winkler, as well as some other leagues that are in the United States. We'll be right back here on the ice.
Hi, I'm Nettie Weiss from Metal Master. You had an accident? Sometimes they're embarrassing, but they're always inconvenient. We have an incredible staff to take care of you. We have platinum certified techs in 4 different categories. We are certified as a gold class accredited shop. If you've made a claim already, perfect. Call us with your claim number. If you need a claim opened, give us a call. We'll walk you through it. Sometimes you can get a little nervous dealing with NPI. We'll help you out. Metal Master Auto Body, straighten it out.
Joining me on the ice, Harry Mahesh, the new assistant coach of the Manitoba Junior Hockey League's Winkler Flyers. 3 years with the Winkler Flyers, not too bad. I think about 175 points and just as many PIMs over those 3 years. What was your strength in the MJ when you were playing in those days?
I would say I was probably more of a defensive forward who can, chip in. Kind of like to say, actually, it's funny. A coach told me, I'm not going to name names, but he said, you're not great at any one thing, but you're good at everything. So, I mean, I guess that's kind of how I took it. And I guess the player I was described to back then would have been like Mike Richards. He's retired now, but just kind of pain in the ass, who could score when needed, vocal, but worked hard. I don't know, just simple. Yeah.
More like Mike Richards, less like Sean Avery, basically.
Yeah.
We'll leave it like that.
Yeah.
Is it interesting working as a defensive coach now that you played forward your career? Or are you able to, like you said, when you were younger, you were able to say, well, what would coach say, or how would this get done better? Is it because you were more of you were able to analyze that type of game back in the day?
Well, it was more, I just felt I had a good read on what players wanted to hear and needed to hear. That's kind of what I meant in terms of, what should be said. I like to break down the game. I think one of my biggest strengths as a coach is just breaking down the game into strengths and weaknesses. But actually, funny, my first year coaching after I retired, I was working with the D. I was an assistant coach, so that was my first kind of chance. And the funniest thing, you learn things. You're so focused on the D when the head coach would be like, "What do you think about this forward?" You're like, "I'm not even watching our forwards." Like you're watching the same 6 guys, and you're so kind of tunnel vision. But even in my playing career, towards the end, I was the utility guy. So. It's like, hey, Harry, you're on the second line, third line, fourth line, but, our 6th defenseman got hurt. You're going to have to fill in there. And at that point, you're not saying no. You're just hopping in and doing your best. So, you'd sit there just praying that the puck would never come up your side. And then eventually you realize, okay, like you can't play scared. You can't play nervous. You played hockey for 24 years. You're telling me you can't stand 15 feet in this direction and not know what you're doing. So, kind of mentally training myself for that. But no, it's one of those things where it gives me a chance to, I've been doing forwards now for 2 years, so now I'll go to the D, and eventually you're going to blend it all together at the highest levels. The head coach stands in the middle, and he's got guys on either side. So you got to be able to carry both positions and the goalie. So I'll be kind of managing the goalie on the bench a little bit too, I guess. So again, just kind of building the arsenal of coaching tools. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
You finish your MJ career, then you're off to Sweden.
Yeah.
How did that transpire?
Well, when I finished in Winkler, I was kind of not sure if I wanted to go to school. And, I really wanted to play professional hockey. And I didn't know, if I went to school for 4 years, it would ever happen. So Ernie Sutherland, the guy who's got me everywhere I've gotten hockey, had a friend in Sweden. He was able to kind of work out everything for me to go there. Their training camp started in August. And so I went over there, around August 1st, August 2nd. And I found out the difference between being strong and being in shape. Because for the entire month of August, we ran every day. Like getting on the ice and getting bag skated would have been a treat because we were doing nothing but dry land. But that's, I learned a lot about the game there that I still use a lot in my coaching. So, yeah, it was awesome. It was the first time I lived on my own, first time living in another country, doing grocery shopping, cooking. It was overwhelming, but at the same time, awesome, an awesome experience.
What was your favorite player? Do you remember playing with in Sweden or against?
You know what? There was guys, I think Jonas Hoagland was a guy. I remember lining up for a face-off, and we were playing I forget the name of the team, but it was just a huge rink. And the guy looked as casual as could be, could win a face-off, just knew all the tricks of the trade. And that's when you could tell that, what a real veteran in hockey looks like, because they don't break a sweat, yet they just dominate all over the ice. So I remember just the name and then watching him, and you could just tell, he had the silver beard or the gray beard, and never smile, never smirked, and you try to kind of battle with him, and he just wouldn't even acknowledge you.
Right.
It was a good,
a good test. You come back to North America, and I always kid that one of my favorite movies is Slapshot, and that every kid, or I shouldn't say kid, but teenager on a bus trip should be watching Slapshot. Probably not the greatest thing to mention, but nonetheless, it's one of those movies that's pretty iconic. You got to experience that in the Federal League.
Yeah.
How interesting stories, I'm sure. Did you ever play in Charleston?
No.
Okay,
No.
so
that team was, I don't know if they're back now. I can't remember the story, but we never actually ended up playing them. But I mean, I could write a book on that league, and I don't know if it would be all the best experiences. When I came back to North America, I didn't have an agent. I didn't have a trainer. I was kind of doing everything by myself.
Yeah.
It kind of fell into my lap. I guess I was kind of sold on something that I thought it would be, and it wasn't. I went to New York City. I just thought this would be awesome. I remember going with the guys down to Manhattan and Times Square and all that kind of stuff. But the living situation and everything was just it never even felt comfortable. I remember being so miserable. I think 6 games in, I got traded. And I got traded to a team up in northern Alexandria Bay, upstate New York. And I didn't know how I was going to get there. So the team I just got traded from was going up there for a 2-game road trip. So I actually hopped on the bus with the team, that traded me, drove 6 hours, got off the bus, took my suitcase, took my hockey bag, walked into the other team's dressing room, got dressed, and played against my former team that night. And then after, got settled into my place and everything like that. But just that was like the first 2 weeks of being there. And, I made some great friends, but I can honestly say that's going to be a story I tell when I'm 70, looking back around a campfire with a stiff drink, I think.
No doubt. The awkward would be an understatement.
Yeah, I mean, it was.
Why a bus ride up there 6 hours?
Yeah, I mean, you go from guys that were your buddies, and now you're sitting at the front of the bus because you don't want to really sit in the back, and the coach is sitting one seat in front of you, not making eye contact, and yeah, it was funny. It was the first time I'd ever been traded, so there's one experience. Then, yeah,
So we get out of the federal, and then we get to the SPHL.
Yeah,
That's that league is called the
Southern Professional Hockey League, and that league is
a little better run.
Pardon me?
A little bit better run, would you say?
Oh, way, way better. You feel like a pro, like in terms of the travel, living and everything. And that was an awesome league. That's when I guess the new version of me had to kind of come out, the more fighting, just more trying to survive. And you know what? I made some lifelong friends in that league too. And that's when I knew I was eventually going to coach. So my few years in there, it was all just getting as much knowledge as I could to eventually make the transition into coaching. So those are some great years for sure.
Do you consider yourself a sponge when it becomes like that, soaking it all in, taking it all in, and getting to see? I mean, a lot of players don't have the opportunity to work with the handful of coaches that you've been working under your playing days. I mean, usually it's minor hockey or AAA, and then, maybe 2 or 3 coaches in the mix. But you had quite a collection of coaches and helpers along the way, Harry. Does that benefit you now that you're a coach, able to see the different handlings of personalities and the opportunities that come about?
Yeah, big time. I mean, 2 of my favorite coaches playing down in the States were Kevin Killer Kaminsky, the legend himself, and Greg Pankowitz, which I had in Bloomington, who was a longtime pro, played in the American League, was drafted by Ottawa, and both guys were very similar as they were tough. And I know a lot of minor hockey league coaches, and I know a lot of junior coaches, and I know a lot of guys who preach this toughness and got to be this and that and old school, and they were guys who were scared of their shadow. And there's nothing wrong with that, but when a guy's telling you to be tough, who was never tough, it falls on deaf ears. I remember playing for Kaminsky, and you could just tell that guy wanted to get on the ice and take care of business. So you would tell him no. I just sat there, and when my number was called, I knew what he wanted from me. And ultimately, I don't think I would have enjoyed it, but knowing that he would have done it, I had no excuse not to. He wasn't any bigger than me. He fought guys like Probert. I do keep in touch with him now, and it's just the mentality of he would do it all. He was the ultimate teammate, which is what I think made him such a great coach. He was just named Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League Coach of the Year. Greg Pankowitz, I don't know if he's coaching now, but he was a longtime coach in the East Coast League, a longtime player. And same, he would trash talk from the bench more than any player. And the other team would be scared because everybody knew who this guy was. But not only that, he would score a hat trick and then beat up your best player. And so playing for guys like that, I think made me realize that guys who were great teammates, guys who could do it all, sacrifice themselves, ultimately make great coaches. And you see that in the NHL with guys like Tocchet and Gerard and Berube. And I mean, I don't think I was ever at that level of, being a heavyweight, and my career wasn't quite that, but looking back at it now, those are guys that I can see myself mirroring in terms of guys would say, hey, this guy he'd do anything for the team. He'd jump on the grenade, and now, that's why his players respect them. And that's kind of what I'm trying to emulate.
Trying to emulate that is so important, but at the same time, there's a fine line between what is interpreted as tough and mean.
Yeah.
And in this day and age, when we're dealing with a lot of other qualities of life and qualities of characteristics with players, your group of coaches, Jeff, Calvin, and yourself, have a tremendous task ahead of you. Not only because of what we would have dealt with at the beginning of the last season, but we're dealing with a lot of other issues that are coming in with this interesting pandemic and the return to play. Have you and your coaches talked about your first impressions with this team and making sure that everybody is in a good mental state moving forward?
Yeah, we briefly talked about kind of like we made more kind of a plan for what the start of camp's going to look like. In terms of the message, Kelvin's going to really handle that. Same with Jeff. I know coming out of this, for myself, I'm going to preach that you can't use this time away from the rink as an excuse. When our training camp starts, unfortunately, if you haven't done anything, you're not going to get a grace period. It's not, hey, we know you haven't had ice and COVID, but if the 23 guys who show up ready and in shape have the best chance of making it. And it is tough, and you do feel for guys, and thankfully rinks are opening up. And I know guys are skating, but that excuse is going to fall on deaf ears. So for me personally, I'm hoping, I've always been on the fitness side of things and the conditioning and all that, athleticism side. So I'm going to be really watching that. And in terms of what the actual message is in terms of the protocol and stuff, Jeff and Kelvin will, they'll do more of the heavy lifting, and I'm, definitely going to use this as being the best support staff I can be.
I don't think I've ever seen you lift a weight before, Harry, but I know you are in good shape nonetheless. A lot of mountains, a lot of hills in Calgary. Are you enjoying walking and running on the prairies again?
Yeah, I haven't gone out. Luckily for me, all the martial arts gyms have opened up, so that's kind of my off-season training. So you can't see too many scratches and bruises. So
your significant other's taking good care of you, I see.
Well, we don't train together. She's doing her thing,
know.
that I do, yeah. So we kind of, but no, it's been good. Honestly, I like to kind of take a break from hockey in terms of, I like to be coached. I like to feel frustrated. I like to put myself in the player's shoes. I think the further you get away from playing, you sit back and you go, make that pass. We'll do this crossover. And you don't realize that the athlete might not know how to do it, or they're working on it. So when I'm in these MMA classes and I'm getting pounded on and doing footwork and struggling, my coach isn't rolling his eyes and, he's breaking it down. He's telling me to relax and have fun. And then I gotta, I tell my players, relax, focus, don't get discouraged. So who am I to do that when I'm training something? So as much as I do think hockey, I try to put myself in a situation where I can always relate back to my players. So for me, the martial arts is the biggest thing, with discipline and skill and ultimately, conditioning. Because those hot rooms, you lose a lot of sweat weight at the end of 2 hours of that. So.
Absolutely. It's not, everyone thinks that's just a glory 3-minute or 5-minute rounds. It's there's a lot of practice and a lot of different breathing and different technique going on there. I totally get that. Last question I'm going to ask you this, Harry. Is it going to be looking forward, where, like you mentioned the NHL, you mentioned the MJ, where do you see yourself in a couple of years, maybe 5 years later with coaching? Do you still want to be that coach, and do you still want to be given that opportunity to move up?
Yeah, big time. I've kind of looked at my coaching career a lot different than my playing. When I played, it was always what's next, what's next. There's a lot of opportunities I don't think I made the most of because I was looking too far down the road. And then I feel like towards the end, I wasn't looking too far. Like I was looking kind of right what was in front of me. And, there's a lot of anxiety of not knowing what tomorrow brings. So as a coach, I'm really just taking it day by day. Like I said, working with Kelvin in the last month, there's a lot that he's taught me that I wouldn't have known. So to think, hey, in 5 years from now, I know where I want to be, but as much as I set long-term goals, it's amazing how much you learn day to day that sometimes kind of sets you back, saying, you know what, this role as assistant coach is great. And with coaching, sometimes the next opportunity, and I listen to a lot of coaching interviews where guys, they say, I got into the NHL too early, and after 2 years, I was out, and I was back in the American League for 10 years. You look at someone like Bruce Cassidy coaching the Bruins. He was in and out. So I think they always say, find the right opportunity. And I think Winkler is the ideal opportunity, having been there. And then after that, just kind of seeing what happens. I mean, like the NHL is the ultimate goal. I mean, I don't think I'm going to walk in off the street and be the head coach guy. I'm sure, just like I'm doing here, there's going to be a process and working your way up, scouting, all that. But I mean, I'm a hockey lifer, and I feel like my career is just really getting started, and I still feel young, feel healthy, extremely energized. So yeah, I mean, I'm not ashamed to say that what my goals are, because I know I always tell the kids I coach, don't be afraid to tell people what your dreams are, because I know what it was like. So now I say it with confidence. I'm going to coach in the NHL. I know it's a process, and I'll just sit back and do the work.
The Winkler Flyers will be happy to have assistant coach Harry Mahesh, who's familiar with the territory, familiar with the settings. He'll be donning different colors, I think orange and black this year.
Yeah.
So he'll be ready to enjoy those. And again, hopefully you don't fall on your face when you try out the new skates this upcoming couple of weeks, Harry, because we don't want to ruin that beautiful mug of yours. I mean, Lord knows Winkler and Morton may not recognize you should you have a twisted nose. But nonetheless, Harry Mahesh on the ice, thank you for joining me. Keep continuing to stay safe and stay well, and we look forward to seeing you late August, early September with camps down in Winkler.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. It's good to see you again. And
always. We'll touch base, I'm sure, many, many times, Harry. Harry Mahesh on the ice here on Amateur Sports TV. Please make sure you check out Coffee with Graham Tuesdays and Thursday mornings, 10:30 in the morning. Always a good cup of joe and always a funny guest once in a while with Graham. He's enjoying that, and he'd love to see you chime in and shoot some comments to him as well. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Talk to you guys soon.